10,000 hours is a steep mountain to climb to become a master, especially when the task at hand puts a relentless demand on your body. There is nothing casual about this sport. It's all in, all effort, all focus. It takes a lot from you, but the reward is unmatched. Mastery of oneself, an acute understanding of your weaknesses with an explosive sense of your strengths. Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcast, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen. I hope you're having a great day. If you are not, prepare your ass. You're about to have a very good day with your pals here. I'm so stoked. I'm excited that you guys are joining us right now. If you have not given us a like, a subscribe, do those things right now because they do help us, believe it or not. They do make a difference. And speaking of making a difference, we need to zoom this back in on baby boy over here. Look at this. This is what happens when you go autofocus. I think I actually turned the camera slightly in the time I press go. All right, we'll fix that. Meanwhile, why don't we go ahead and say hello to our good friend, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, good sir?
What up, what up? It's good to chat with you again, fresh off of Fight Pass Invitational 9. It's nice to see that our co-host has finally decided to show up to an actual taping of the show. I should say a live broadcast of the show. I think we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. It's good to be back, gentlemen.
Very nice of you to plug our co-host who does return to the show. Welcome back, handsome Kevin Sherrill. Kevin, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I like that blurb. I'm doing great. I like your opening as if you're not having a good day, prepare yourself. I like delivering "have a good day" as a threat. That's fantastic. Right?
I think anybody here who has ever experienced me knows that it's never just going to be I'd like this. It's a very pointed, I need this done. And if you are not having a good day, I need you to put it at the top of the agenda. We will make sure you will have a good day by the end of the day. So that's all. It's very business-like of me, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
So
it's
Kevin,
it's Gandalf-esque.
Honestly, I don't know that I am Gandalf-esque as much as I am just old. That might be the one way that I am there. I'm both gray and white Gandalf, one might say. Kevin, you were gone, and we were worried for you here. Do you mind telling the people where you were? So where were you the past week or so?
Yeah, most recently, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. I was out there for BJJ Camp Rio with the LHM guys, and, trying not to die, doing my best, clinging to the side of a mountain, trying not to slide off it.
I'm not going to tell you can't hang out with those boys, but they do have me consistently worried about you. Wait, hold on. Let's mark the time and place that the dude who's been around a lot of people who are very assertive in his time refers to me as Raf is pretty assertive for sure. I mean, let's put it this way. When we used to do shows for the military, for the Tonight Show, one, they were the most responsive group we ever had. But number two, I think they had an appreciation for how direct I was, so we got along great when they would come to a free taping, and one of my favorite shows to produce, by the way. Nonetheless, thank you, Egg. Good to see you. Kev, we worry about you. We hope that you're okay. Have you come to us back 100%? Where on the percentage range are you? Oh no, where are you in terms of
60 to 70? 60 to 70%. I'm on like 2 different medications. I'm all beat up. Like everything hurts. Yeah, I'm 60 to 70. I'm in good spirits, but nah, I'm duct taped together right now.
We advertise you on the show, and then I got a very clear "I'm not going to make it" text, which, I'm sure on the video broadcast you will see my live reaction to it. But when you're doing a live show and the camera is just firmly on you, you don't get a moment to go, 1 second here. Oh, that's instead, you get the version of me that goes, what do you all right, fine. All right. Anyway, Kevin's not showing up, guys. So I know that you had fans, plural, that wanted to see you yesterday. So they were very sad, but I'm sure they're happy to see that you're alive and that you made it okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Benadryl's a hell of a drug.
Raph, I think the way Raph put it was he said, Kevin is deceased for the night.
Yeah, he's dead to me personally.
No, I did say you were dead to me, but just yesterday. I said he's dead to me today, which is not inaccurate because I go, well, Kevin has died today. He'll be back with us tomorrow, which I feel like if you listen to it, you kind of get what I'm really getting at here. It's not really a riddle you can't solve. Tim, we need to talk about the poster behind you because it has fascinated us. Yeah. So are you a fan? Is this from your sons? Like where does this come
explain yourself.
Explain. I think it's Naruto. He's got that goofy headband on. So I have commandeered my son's room as my new potential studio because I can just leave everything set up in here. My son no longer stays up here, so it's like as a parent, your kid leaves the house, and you're like, do I get rid of all of his shit now and move up there, or do I like give him like 30 days? And so I'm slow rolling him into it. Yeah. I always tell him, you always have a place to come home to, but you might not always have a bedroom here. So
I like that we've really seen the emergence of Tim, the landlord. We get many sides of Tim. You see him, the host, the black belt,
he's gonna
commentator.
His son's gonna come home and he's gonna be like, by the way, don't touch my stuff. you can sleep up there. I set a sleeping bed on the floor. Don't touch any of the setup.
Yeah. So don't fuck with the roadcaster.
If you're really looking deep into the mythos of the background, because I had enough time to kind of survey, I think if you're caught up on the poster, you might miss the Mario over to the far right. That's truly, I think, the prized possession of that room.
Yeah, that is a nice one. I'm looking at a Deadpool figure and some other anime figures, 2 brothers standing by each other with their hair spiked out. There's a lot of trinkets in this room, man. I'm gonna have to have a talk with this guy.
So the last question I have about the poster, though, Tim.
Yeah.
Honest to God, look at that poster right now, okay? All right, how many of those characters can you name?
Oh, bro.
Just the first
Naruto
one.
that's the only one I know, dude.
Yeah, just the first one.
I stopped watching anime at Voltron, dude. Like that's where my anime knowledge ended. Voltron. That's it.
Which, by the way, they are making a live action movie. And
that's awesome.
They got Superman in that, so that'll be very, very good. I'm very excited. I have been waiting for Voltron the movie for about 40 years now. So now I'm finally getting it, and I'm so excited. These children had Power Rangers, which is fine. It is what it is. It is.
Yeah.
But Voltron was the one that made you believe, like, yo, if we have 4 other friends, we can make Voltron, guys. Like, who's fucking the chest? Who's the arm? Who's the head? How does this all work? And I always wanted to be the lead key. So I
left foot for sure.
You were left foot.
Unfortunately, Big Hollywood pushed Transformers on us our whole life, and that's a train wreck. We didn't get Voltron. We had to wait 40 years for this, man.
You know what the dumb part is?
Did you say Henry Cavill's gonna be in Voltron?
Yes, he will.
There's no way he's left foot.
His handsome defense just came up.
No, me and Henry were both lead key. We both say everybody turn keys at the same time. It's a very similar thing. He and I so similar. So similar. But anyway, gentlemen, I think we should get to the board. But before I get to the board, I should say I'm glad the three of us are together. There have been some episodes where one or two of us have died, and I've almost had to recast the entire show. And I didn't want to do that. And I prefer this. This is great.
Yeah, man, you're really reaching for the stars, getting the star-studded cast, left foot of Voltron, Tim's right hand.
I'm
It's
so
good,
sorry.
man.
I've never
You're doing
been
it.
more obsessed with just the background poster ever in a show, because it's just like, Tim, name 3 people in there for $100, and you know that he cannot. So,
No.
Bro, I just love I wish this was how I met Tim, where like the first time I tune into the show, that's his background. And I'm like, bro, get your life together. You look like a teenager. What are you doing?
and I feel bad because Tim's son, if he ever saw any of this, and again, there's no way he would because his dad's on it. But if he ever did, just the look of it of like, Dad, could you not have zoomed in the camera a little bit here? Could you not? Well, Kevin, you're posed in thought.
No.
What is your thought?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm looking for the most embarrassing thing behind me.
Well, hold on.
But I think I'm good.
Hold on. Don't worry. That's why we have a zoom button here. So if we have the camera on Kevin, I think, okay, I see some NFC things. So those are competitions.
Yeah, those are Reese's
Okay.
amateur male kickboxer of the year.
What
and
is
amateur
this
fighter of the year,
little
some shit.
samurai thing I'm looking at here?
That's really expensive whiskey bottle.
Is that real? Okay. Okay. Good
Yeah,
for
it's-
you. Look at that. People who
That's
are
actually
just
pretty
watching
cool.
this show are like, what the fuck is happening with these guys?
Yeah.
It's like Jiu-Jitsu Antique Roadshow.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to drink. We already found out that yesterday you were going to see drunk on
It's
air.
empty.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll
that's
tell you what I take umbrage with is
What's that?
the cat scratch apparatus. Are you a cat guy?
Yeah, there's actually a cat. He's sleeping right here on the floor behind me. Otis.
Disappointed.
I got a dog too.
If it was a bobcat, I'd be like, "That's cool. Kevin's got a bobcat."
This is a note.
It needs to be a
from-
tiger for me to
let me
gain
see
street
here.
cred.
Audio is being really goofy. Well, sorry about that, Egg. I don't know what to do about it in the moment. But why don't we just go to the board? Hopefully that'll fix everything. That's a smart way of doing it. All right, gents, we should start off the event with the festivities like this, which is putting some time on the clock to talk about last night. The UFC had a major event. Was it major? Up for debate. But I can tell you this. It definitely happened. Mikey Musumeci definitely was the main event. Everything else is up to interpretation. Gentlemen, I'll ask you for your thoughts on yesterday's Fight Pass Invitational. And today I'm actually going to start with Kevin because we'll find out if Kevin actually watched any part of it. So, Kevin, we start with you.
Right. So I'm gonna have to put this through the filter of my Benadryl stupor. So how I imagined it went was really, really cool. It was such a good production, really well put together. So far, all I've seen from Fight Pass Invitational is Mikey getting his knee popped in that shootout. I think it was 50-50. It might have been outside Ashi. Little shootout they got where Felipe Machado ripped on that thing. Other than that, man, it was so great. I slept so well through it. Fantastic job, guys.
Way to show up. All right, let's go to let's say this. Tim showed up until the co-main event. And to show you our audience, like right as he's about to leave at the co-main event, Egg was in the comment section being like, "Are you quitting now?" to Tim. And I said, "Are you more mad that he's quitting now before the co-main and the main event, or are you madder that Kevin didn't even show up? Because if you're madder at the dude who's just about to leave, I don't know which is worse in Egghead's interpretation here. But I will go now to Tim Freeman. Tim, oh, that's not Tim. That's me. Tim, that's definitely not Tim. You know what?
Best Tim's ever looked.
Here's first of all, rude.
There he is again.
I'm gonna switch the camera on here.
No. Most embarrassing thing behind me has to be the Christmas paper. It's got to be the wrapping paper.
Hold on.
Yeah, a little wrapping paper behind me.
Oh, I do see that. Why didn't you put that away?
Mm-hmm. That is away. That's away.
Let's go to
That's
Tim.
where it goes.
Tim, you have 54 seconds to tell us your thoughts, sir.
I thought it was a pretty good event overall. I really enjoyed watching Damian Anderson. He looked real good last night. Maggie Grandata looked really good too, man. She got the sub on Giovanni Carnero. I thought that was awesome. Canuto not being able to finish. Canuto not being able to finish Jason Nolf was an interesting match because Canuto was really upset at the end of the match. He was not happy with the result. I would have been relieved, but he was really disappointed. And he mentioned, like, I wasn't able to get the takedown. I think he wanted to get a takedown on Nolf, but it just didn't happen. And Nolf looked good. Obviously, he's got a long way to go, but you know he's going to get there. Ronaldo Jr. looked fantastic, man. I thought, he's a tough dude to beat. And Nick Mattia put up a good fight against him, but Ronaldo just kept hunting the chokes over and over and eventually went home with it. The final match was interesting, but because we had the sound down, I actually learned something from Kevin. I didn't know that Mikey's knee popped. We didn't catch that, and they didn't really mention it in the post-fight interview. So that's news to me. I thought Mikey looked good, but, man, they just signed him to a contract. He goes out. This is his, first event there. Of course he wants to get a submission. Of course he wants to show out. And Felipe Machado just frustrated the attempts to get it, and he was in some danger, but Mikey just couldn't finish it. Overall, I thought it was a great event. I think it's good for jiu-jitsu. And at the end, they announced like 6 events or 7 events for next year. So the UFC is really going to push jiu-jitsu, and I think that's going to help us in general.
I think the most fascinating thing about their calendar that they pushed was that they just put a graphic that said months. So I couldn't tell if that was like a warning shot at everybody. It's like, we're calling these months, but we're not telling you when. Good luck figuring it out, dicks. Because I definitely was excited by that. And yes, Kevin, you did actually bring a good point. I will say this. Even though Kevin doesn't pay attention or do the research or do the stats, he occasionally will be online at the right time and place. Because I didn't. Like, him catching what I'm sure is the clip that the UFC put up or somebody put up that said his knee popped surprised to me because Mikey's legs have been rubber, and there were a number of exchanges in there where he was the aggressor throughout that match. So to see that as a result is, it makes logical sense. I just didn't necessarily see it happening. So where did you see that, Kev?
It's outside Ashi. Where it happens, it's okay. Felipe Machado put it up. And you can see his knee. Felipe's on top. Mikey's in outside Ashi, and Felipe goes for that grippo rippo, where you spin back and you get that inside heel hook.
Sorry, what did we call that?
Oh, you don't.
You don't
speak
Italian?
It's the grippo rippo. You haven't seen.
First of all, I don't speak Italian. But second of all, a grippo rippo. What is a grippo rippo, dude, Kevin? Sorry, yeah, I saw the Mario brother behind Tim, so now this is how I have to talk.
Yeah, Johnny Grippo years ago, I want to say 2020, had a match with maybe Junie, don't fucking quote me on that, where he's standing passing over Junie and Junie has him in outside Ashi, splits his legs for a second, Johnny grips it and just goes like belly down, just rips it and sends it.
Right.
And yeah. So it's the grippo rippo. Is that counter footlock?
So wait, did you call it that or did he call it that? Because that's the part maybe I'm confused about here.
Johnny didn't. I definitely didn't come up with that. The internet did. and it's how I teach it now because it's one of my favorite counter leg locks.
The Grippo Ripple. I like that.
So dumb. Like, we're
It's a
in
good time.
sport full of dumb names. There's stupid names for most of the shit that we do. And you, with the most serious version of your face, well, clearly, we all know the Grippo.
As we know, the Grippo Rippo.
Good Lord. I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, I hope
straight faces.
I hope if Johnny ever sees this, because I don't know whether he likes or doesn't like the name. It was controversial when it happened, and I really don't know why. I'll be totally honest. It's a very common footlock position. You get talked about it. It's not like the guy didn't see it coming, didn't know it was a possibility. But anyways, Felipe gets Mikey with it, and you can see his knee in the shot. You can see the knee like go.
You know,
and,
now that you mention it, I remember distinctly seeing him do it, and it looks like it's like a fall away shot that you're doing, where as you go back, you're not sure if it's going to be effective in finishing the match, but it's definitely going to leave them with a mark. So it is a declaration of war when I see somebody do that. Like, yo, please do not do that to my knee. And you're right.
I've
logically,
hit it
that makes sense.
I've hit it a couple times in competition, and I've literally only ever called it. There we go. Bujikatami knows what's up. Yeah, I've hit it a couple times in competition, and I'm literally 2 times, and both times I popped the guy's knee with it, and neither time has the guy tapped. It's just such a fall away submission that, like.
Let me just point this out here. So now it went from being kind of absurd to more absurd.
I knew it. I knew you were.
Kevin, I've literally only called it the Grippo and Rippo.
Grippo and Rippo.
Like in out.
The N is such a great addition. It's perfect.
It's
Grippo
like,
and Rippo.
It's been Raph. It's been around long enough that there's derivative names of the name now.
Oh God,
we've just been lost. I guess I've never heard this
name
terminology.
we're giving it. Everybody has their own version of it.
Got to keep an
in the
ear to the
South,
streets.
We actually call it the grip and rip. It's with 3 eyes, not
so
just the grip.
Grip and rip is something else. Grip and rip is something else. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
now
you
got to
put the O on the end of it.
Yeah, nah.
First of all, okay, hold on. No one has ever on this show ever said, I'm with Kevin. So I want you to mark the time and place, because I don't know how many other times this will happen, let alone from our social media guy who's been cutting the clips. So, by the way, if you guys have seen more clips go up recently, you can thank Brian Peterson. He has been doing a great job. We appreciate him, except for the fact that he spells Brian the wrong way. With the Y.
Oh no,
it's the wrong way. Everybody knows that. And I went to write a note for him at Thanksgiving, and I was at a casino, and I literally was like, I have 5 minutes to do this. Thanks, Brian. And he goes, wow, that was really nice. You also didn't spell my name right. And I go, that's fair, especially in a post where I talk about us being OCD enough to double check our posts aggressively. In my defense, I was being told to go hold a machine for my mother-in-law while she was gambling because she wanted to come to that one later. So, fun times here, people.
A casino.
She found a couple good machines. Yeah.
No. She does this thing where she tells me to reserve the machine for her because she doesn't want it now. She wants to go to it in like 5 minutes. So my job is to play defense for her.
Yeah,
and then
naturally.
Start telling people like, no, you can't be here. And they're like, are you gambling? And I go, no. And then if I am like trying to hold it, I have to like pretend put in money. It's like,
you're faux gambling.
I'm faux gambling. Like, I don't want to do any of that shit. But yes, so that's what happens.
You can't just pretend like you're doing your walk up ritual. You know how like batters get, 2.5 hours to do their little ritual before they got to step up to the plate. You can't just do your walk up ritual for like 10 minutes.
I mean, she has definitely given me instructions. Like, she thinks that she has been in more casinos than I have. Maybe now she has. But in the crux of my life, I have been in a lot of casinos, and I have underage gambled a lot. And having her explain to me how a casino works is perhaps my favorite pastime. But nothing is better than when she's telling me, like, you need to be right behind this woman. so that she knows when she gets up, that chair is yours. And I was like, I don't think you understand how creepy this looks if you're a dude. And there's a woman who's just seeing this brown dude behind her in Illinois, by the way, where there's not a ton of me at the moment. Just like in a hoodie like this, like, you done? You done? Can I follow you somewhere? So I go, no, I'm not going to do that, Sue. I'll wait for her in a respectable amount of time.
I feel like that's like tailgating in a casino. I feel like I'd sit longer.
Yeah, it's not a parking spot.
Kev,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Where you're going to loiter till they leave.
Kev, you are 100% correct. That is exactly what happens. Once they feel you want the machine, that's when they pull out like another $100 and they put it in. Fuck! No! My mother-in-law
They
needs
think you're
this.
onto something.
Yeah, the market has spoken. You've increased the value of that machine.
Well, we've learned a lot. Also, Wallow J says, grip and rip, money shot. Damn, Kev's got to teach Raph what stuff means. I don't think Kev really had
That
to
would be
teach
a
me
funny
what
segment,
a
actually.
money shot is. So I'm glad that's what it is. It's more so if I ever ask him what something means, it's that I want to understand what his interpretation of it
Yeah, what do you think it means?
because
Yeah.
it might not match what the common consensus is. I also don't live in the South, so we have a South reporter here. It's important to have these different perspectives on a show for our audience that comes to us.
Yeah, educated and uneducated.
Get out of here. All right. Why don't
I
we go to
come
our
I come
next
from the 49th state in literacy. I got a different perspective.
Nothing is better than Kevin being like, Raph, I'm going to educate you today. And me going, let's see how this goes. Gentlemen, why don't we go to our next topic, which is this. Yes. Oh, no, I don't need that one. I just need the countdown on that. Thank you. All right. Who's number one happened on Wednesday? ... That's all the teleprompter says here. It doesn't have any words. I don't know how I feel about this one because I wanted to like it. And then there were just two dudes forehead wrestling with not a single shot. And I thought to myself, who are these guys? Me? Come on. You can't do that unless you're me. I get to do that because I'm old and ancient and I'm not boring people on a televised broadcast telling people I've got great stand-up. It was rough. And I think I would like to take a moment here to try and acknowledge what, if anything, was good about who's number one. And I'll start with you, Tim.
Well, I do agree with you. And I think that probably who's number one probably belongs behind the paywall, to be honest with you, because it's for people that really want to watch grappling. But there were some good matches. Daniel Sattler had a really good match against Faburi, and he actually picked up the loss on that, but it was a great match. There was a lot of action, a lot of back and forth. Helena Carver looked really good against Bernales. She won a decision, but there was a lot of activity in the match. There was a lot of grappling that was taking place. Outside of that, Felipe Pena looked fantastic against Declan Moody. He got the sub with a guillotine there, and it was pretty tight. Like, it was a pretty quick tap once he locked it in. The rest of the matches were okay. I just think from like an entertainment standpoint, there's some room for improvement there. But overall, jiu-jitsu's on television. I get to sit down on my soft couch, turn the fireplace on, and watch it. So I'm happy in terms of how that works. And I think, they announced more cards. I think they're going to obviously put on decent shows, and it's good for the athletes. I'm happy for the athletes that they have a place to perform. It just shows that there is some room for the production and for the actual matches and the athletes to come in with a mindset to entertain and not just pick up a W.
Thank you for that. We'll now go to you, Kevin. What were your thoughts on the who's number one? Any good thoughts?
Shit, you really cut me off with that good thoughts thing. I got negative thoughts. It's not even like at the athletes or anything. I really feel like WNO needs to figure out how to give people this platform to be exciting, because the format of the matches is so long and it's decision based. So it's all kind of wibbly wobbly, who knows, whatever. it's almost it's such a slow burn style of match that I don't think it's built well for spectators. And not to say you can't have some barn burners, they have in the past, but that's not what the rule set pushes you towards. You can't empty the tank and be super aggressive because you know it's a long match. And it doesn't really matter if you win the first, 80% of the match. If you get your ass whooped for the last 20%, they're going to win the decision. I really feel like they got to reinvestigate. They put on such a good show, production-wise. They get really good athletes. They have everything they need. They just need to figure out how to give these guys a rule set where they can open up without fear of shooting themselves in the foot.
Okay, what do we do about that? Because I think I agree with you. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it more exciting. And maybe this is just something on the commentary side that I struggle with. But I think when I'm commentating events, I really try not to say, wow, that was exciting, when it was not. Or, wow, what an incredible night we've had here, when it has not been. I felt like there were some slight highlights or some kind of cool moments. But I do wonder about this 10, 15-minute format for particular athletes. And it's weird because, Kevin, this is the part I struggle with. How do you tell someone, Kev, you're a 10-minute athlete? You are not a 15-minute athlete. Like, where do we come into this? Is it just for the co-main and main event that it's 15 minutes? Because even still, when they were putting them at, I want to say like 8 or 9 minutes, I was looking at it and thinking, like, this is a little too long, right? Like,
yeah,
this is going on because we're probably going to get overtime.
You can see the pace drop off in, like, instead of 6-minute matches for like ADCC, when you go to like a 10-minute match for EBI rules, also it's sub only, but you see the pace change. Even just looking at ADCC, when they go from 6 minutes to 10 minutes to 20 minutes, whatever, you can see the pace drop off. If you want excitement, you need like short rounds. You need short matches where they're incentivized to kind of throw it all. But I do agree with the commentary thing. There was a very, I cannot remember the match. I just remember the commentary back a few years ago, I want to say 2022, where they were talking about like, oh, this is great wrestling. They're like stalemating because this is great wrestling. And Kendall Rusing was the only commentary person who said, well, no, it's not. Nobody's really taking a risk. And they're like, well, she like called them out about like, there was somebody like tapping a knee. And it's like, she's like, that's not a real shot. They're not actually attempting a takedown. And like, as a commentary person, I don't like hearing commentary guys like, or as an athlete, I don't like hearing commentary guys go in, but honesty is there too. Don't lie about like, don't look spectators in the face. We're not dumb. Like, don't look your spectators in the face and say, this is exciting. Remember, this is exciting. That's what I want you to walk away with. Like, be real. Like, hey, we're looking at a lot of forehead wrestling here. Somebody needs to open up.
See,
maybe a get down rule, man.
If you ever hear me on the call, you will know that when I think something is not exciting, but it's getting aggressively not exciting, I will try to build the story a different way, which will be like, he's overcoming so much right now. Wow, look at him overcoming that injury. Yup. Good job, you, sir. So I try to find ways to do it, and I'm amicable to the building and the wanting to keep people excited. But I'm also incredibly hard on those when I see it being a struggle of a match.
Yeah, I think it's fair to like point it out to spectators of like, hey guys, like the reason these two are forehead wrestling is because neither of them, maybe one of them has a nasty guillotine and the other one 0% can afford to be on bottom. Yeah. Like you're in a match where like that happens all the time in jiu-jitsu where it's like you're in a match where the person who ends up on bottom is going to lose. So like you're going to see and both guys are counter offense wrestlers or whatever. So you're going to see a lot of investment and a slower pace matchup. So I think explaining to spectators like, yeah, there's a lot of risk inherent here. When we see somebody open up, it will be a high stakes endeavor. And that way you can build a little bit of drama and tension. If we're not changing the rule set, I think you have to have commentators that can speak to things like that. You just can't also do it like 9 matches in a row.
Just saying.
Yeah, right.
It is a tough gig, I will tell you that. But just in terms of my own preference of, wow, that was exciting, I will start counting that now. Why don't we go to our next topic, which is that of Gordon Ryan, who made the announcement-ish after Who's Number One in response to a post or a video clip where he was getting called out. He seemed to be alleging the fact that he's not going to be at the next ADCC. So because it's just an Instagram post that really was turned into an article that didn't say much more than a sentence, I guess that leads us to speculate wildly as to why that might be. So I'll start with both of you guys. And why don't we go ahead and give you, Tim Freeman, the first crack. Why do you think Gordon may not be at ADCC, ?
Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question? I don't know, man. I think that Gordon just says stuff sometimes. He might have a sense that he's already accomplished whatever it is he wanted to accomplish with ADCC, and there's not much left for him there. And in a way, I can kind of buy into that argument. He's been pretty stellar in his last few ADCC appearances. I think it begs the question of, if you're not going to do ADCC, then what are you going to do? I don't see a world where Gordon goes to CJI, maybe, but I just don't see that. It would be quite humorous if he went in there and won the money, though. Like, that would be funny. I think probably he's looking at the UFC as another promotion to sign with for grappling, and I think that's a smart move. If you're looking to make serious money, then you want to go to a promotion that has a serious money machine, and the UFC is just that. They signed Musumeci. I think it makes sense if they basically signed Musumeci's nemesis, who was Gordon Ryan, and they were chirping in the press leading up to it. They're both kind of talking smack about each other, so I think that makes sense. Like, build that in, get him signed there, and he's got to go professional. And maybe ADCC becomes more of something that's considered amateur, and then when you sign with a professional spot, you don't do it anymore. Who knows? I don't know, but with Gordon, it's never quite clear. It wouldn't surprise me if he showed up at the next ADCC. So,
Of course, Tim, thank you for that. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Remember when we were all rats for supporting CJI? Remember that? Cockroaches, I think it was. We're all vermin for abandoning ADCC that's done so much for the sport and loves us and appreciates us, and we're just ungrateful. Remember that? It's crazy. Feels like it was just, a couple of months ago that you were a rat if you didn't support the well-established and prestigious organization that is ADCC. So I don't know where Gordon's going. I think it's already hilarious that that's in the rearview mirror. He's moved on. I don't even know that he is going, right? Like, how many times have we heard Gordon say he's retired or he's not going back to ADCC? So it's one of those I'll believe it when I see it type things. But yeah, I think it's a weird look to call everybody vermin for going to a different promotion, spectators for going and watching a different promotion, and be like, oh, so I don't really fuck with this one either. I'm out. Stephen Eakin, that's just how I sound.
No, I get there's a weirdness I can't figure out that's happening. I'll come back to this note here in a second. While I see your thing, I don't think that's you, Kev. I think it's legitimately just the way it's being broadcast. Because in my ears, you sound normal, which is bad, but like a normal kind of bad. Okay, let me see if I can encapsulate this just from my perspective, and then we'll go to answering that question. Here's kind of my thought on it. I feel it is kind of weird in the sense that maybe, just maybe, we're now seeing Gordon Ryan threatening with the possibility of not doing ADCC. That's fine. It's within his right. He can do it. He can not do it. I don't know that we're 100% certain on this. So the article that was kind of quoting it was going off of the information of him responding to somebody on Instagram. So I don't know that this is law. But yeah, Kevin does bring receipts. He does remember things very well in terms of the cockroaches thing. I think the weird part for Gordon is if he were to go somewhere else, he can obviously rebrand it and say, well, now the UFC is coming to make this bigger. It could also be the fact that Mo is not going to be involved with ADCC in that way anymore as the organizer, even though he still does Instagram lives, which is very weird and misleading, by the way. Nonetheless, if you paint your whole career and your whole association as being synonymous with the ADCC brand, and you tease the fact that you might not be there, and you call other things like CJI, which arguably did bigger numbers than ADCC will ever do, it's confusing, because now I'm thinking to myself, if he goes to UFC, who are they going to bring on for him? He's already done UFC Fight Pass. He's already been on these sort of avenues. And if he signs another exclusive contract, I don't think that worked very well for Flo. Sure, it got them some eyeballs. Craig said if it wasn't Gordon on a card, it would collapse. But it was supposed to be, I think, a 7-figure deal. And there were matches that got proposed that didn't end up making it. I just wonder what the viewership figures would be. I wonder what the break-evens are. And we really didn't make any other stars based off of that. So when he does allude to these things, I don't know what the upside is. So it could be just a stay tuned and see what happens to me sort of publicity sort of a thing. But for Gordon, I think so much of the career is tied to ADCC by his own devices. So that wasn't any of us that did it. That was clearly him that said, my legacy is ADCC. So what happens afterwards? Good question. Don't know. But that will take us through
maybe
that.
he's in his Floyd Mayweather, super fight, money fight phase of life. Like he's over with his regular career.
I guess, but I don't know. I mean, the other thing is when somebody tells you I'm not healthy, but I do this for you, your first thought is maybe you just need to do it for you and just not do it. Because I don't want to hear every time that you're killing yourselves for us. I think you're killing yourself for you, but co-opting it for us. We have people that we could elevate to that star level now, and maybe they won't be at his level. Maybe he could take a page from somebody we're going to talk about in the future, but Marcelo came back after taking time off for his own health issues. It's just, don't tell us those sorts of things. Just go take care of yourself. And as you do it, you can do the commentary gigs, and I guess that's okay. As Tim was saying, I think he got good reviews, even though when I was listening to it, it was okay. It was okay. He definitely was giving you the insight that is very important. You learn what their mentality is, but there is a weird nasalness to his voice that I
his voice does not match his frame.
Teeth grating on my ears. It doesn't sound.
He's a cartoon character.
So there is that. Gentlemen, I guess we should move to our next topic, which is what exactly do we know about Jiu-Jitsu Overdose? I'm going to start with you, Kevin Sherrill. What do we know about the Jiu-Jitsu Overdose event that is happening for 4 days next week?
Yeah, it's got Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, EBI, Medusa, and one other
another
show.
Combat Jiu-Jitsu, the lightweights. Yeah.
There you go.
It's 2 Combat Jiu-Jitsus then.
Yes.
3, I guess, because Medusa, right? Women's Combat Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You make a good point. Yep.
Yeah. And then EBI. Should be popping, man. The brackets are loaded. They've also got stand-up going on. If you're going out there, if you got your passport, hop on out there. It's going to be packed. I've seen some of the names coming out of there, and they're fucking massive. Ernesto obviously just got his bid for EBI. So he'll be out there as well as a bunch of other PGF vets. It should be really cool. They're trying to turn it into super jiu-jitsu convention, and there seems like it's going to be. It seems like they're actually going to deliver on that. It seems like a great time.
Okay, it said the audio just fixed, Kevin, so congratulations. I did nothing to change it. It just was better for them. I don't know why or how, but is what it is. Tim, what are your thoughts? And yes, we're very happy Ernesto got in. Also, shout out Nathan.
Yeah, when Eddie first proposed this in the 10th Planet kind of group, I kind of thought, man, only Eddie would devise some kind of wild idea like this. And originally, I think it was 3 events, and then they added the additional combat jujitsu. I think they're calling it Mexico 3. I don't know if that's only going to feature like Mexican athletes. I have no idea, but they added a 4th event. It's in Cancun. The way it's being sold is your ticket basically gets you access to your room, and it's all inclusive. Obviously, you got to figure out how you're going to get there. But on top of that, there's some great cards. And for me, I'm looking forward to watching EBI. EBI has a special place in my heart. It's the only promotion that actually made it through the 2010s and into the present day, and it's still a pretty damn good format. Yeah, there's some guys that game the system, but overall they're pretty entertaining matches, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I like combat jiu-jitsu. I think Medusa's dope, and there's some great names on the card. So overall, I think it's going to be a great win for jiu-jitsu. And on top of the comedy shows and the additional stuff, they're having seminars too. They have Jean-Jacques out. Eddie's going to be out there. They have a bunch of big names that are going to put seminars on while they're out there. So if you're a jiu-jitsu fan, that is definitely a fun way to spend a grappling vacation. Not only do you get to watch it and consume it, but you also get to train and practice, and you're in Cancun. So pretty wild weekend. I hope it's a smashing success. I really do. I think we need more stuff like this. So I'm stoked, man. That's going to be 4 days of jiu-jitsu, which is awesome.
As per Egg, Eddie said it was based off his experience at the PGF. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I think that does make sense. And then the other note I have here is it's the Mexican athlete's way to qualify for the following events, I think. So look at that, you Mexicans. That's how you get on there.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will see more of you, because I do think it is a lucrative.
You have to come to combat jiu-jitsu the legal way.
Hey, listen, bro. I don't know if you've learned, but that's pretty much the new qualification process to become an American citizen. So,
combat jiu-jitsu, trial by combat.
You're gonna be like, hey, listen, do you want to come to the United States? Legal process isn't good, but slap your way, you get a one-way ticket. Here's your green card. By the way,
you know how polite people would be to immigrants if the only way to get into the U.S. was trial by combat.
Yeah.
Years ago, one of the best speeches I ever gave that I used to compete with, I will tell you, it was based off of like a show that did Fear Factor, but for a green card. And I think it was Gonna Let Her Green or something to that effect. And like, it was such a ridiculous Fear Factor. You eat entrails. It was very, very dumb. But I did essentially a speech talking about it, and every time I would open my mouth about it, like somebody's jaw would drop, and I'd go, it's a real show. Stay with me. I'm not even done. This is a longer speech than you think.
Fear factor for a green card is quite the elevator pitch.
And you know what? And it apparently did pretty well in the ratings, but I think it was aired in Mexico, which I think is like an even weirder salt on the wound sort of a thing. So anyway, I'm going to reboot that now because I feel the climate's right for it, and I'll make money off of it. So that's for me to make money. Anyway, why don't we go to our next topic here? We wish our friends over at the Jiu-Jitsu Overdose well. It's going to be 4 epic days of competition, and super stoked about this. And speaking of which, Tim, you put this on the board, and I'm going to have to go to you first on it. But tell us about this UFC 310 update, because there's a few things that I guess have kind of made their way into the news front.
Yeah, I was checking out the UFC 310 card. It's their last pay-per-view of the year. And traditionally, that's like a major pay-per-view, kind of like a Super Bowl-esque kind of a vibe. I think the UFC pretty much put their nut into Noche, and that was pretty much their marquee event for the year. And at first pass, I'm like, it's a good card. It's not a bad card, but it didn't feel like that prime kind of a card. And I was just reading about how the card was shaken out. And one of the things that I came across that I thought was really interesting is that Cesar Gracie, who is Nick Diaz's coach, let's just say, for lack of a better word, was in the press, and he said that he thinks that Ronda Rousey may have something to do with the spiral or the start of the spiral of Nick Diaz, in that, and I know this to be a fact, Nick never drank alcohol. Yes, he smoked lots of marijuana, and that was pretty much his only vice at that time. No other drugs. He was a pretty healthy dude in general. And Caesar alludes to the fact that when Ronda came up to the Central Valley, which she did for a while when she first started fighting, that Nick started hanging out with her and basically kind of started falling down that party path and ended up, in not a great place now. I thought that was interesting. Caesar's pretty smart about what he doesn't say and what he does say when he's given an interview in an article. So it just kind of stuck out to me. I hadn't heard that. The other thing that was interesting is Crone Gracie is talking about he's going to be on the card as well. He's fighting Bryce Mitchell, which is not an easy fight. And we've heard this before, but Crone reiterated that some members of his family basically forbid him from striking in his last UFC appearance and wanted him to only grapple, and that he's changing that approach dramatically. He said he looked back at his fights in Japan and he took a more well-rounded approach and was more successful, and that's what we should be expecting to see out of him. I always like watching Crone fight, whether it's jiu-jitsu, MMA, whatever he's doing. I just have an interest in watching him. Obviously, he's super talented in jiu-jitsu. And then our one and only Kevin, his boy Cody Durden, is going to be fighting again against Joshua Van. And I was a little miffed because Cody is the underdog in this fight, and I don't know why. I think Cody is super duper hard to finish, and Joshua Van doesn't have a big name right now, and it doesn't really make sense. So if you're looking to gamble, you might be able to make some money on that. And then lastly, sorry to eat up all the time, but Clay Guida is going to have his 60th MMA fight tomorrow night. And I think, at a certain point, Dana should retire him. And after he wins his fight, they should just bring a wheelchair out, put him in it, wheel him out, and just tell him, like, dude, you're retired. You're no longer the UFC carpenter. You can be a real carpenter, but you can't be a carpenter in here anymore. I'm looking forward to seeing Clay fight, but it just struck me like, damn, this is going to be his 60th fight. That is a ridiculous amount of miles to put on your body. This guy is like the station wagon of UFC fighters. He can just keep going and going. So, good event. That's what I got, Raph.
Thank you for that. An extensive look at it all. I mean, Kevin, do you have any response to that in terms of Cody? Because I felt like that was such a wild circumstance. We saw him the last time. Now to see him back out there and to be that big of an underdog. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Joshua Van called Cody out in the aftermath of his last win. He said, I want to fight that Cody guy. And Cody said, bet. If you know anything about Cody, he's pretty much always game. Originally, I was going to go out there and corner with him, but I spent like 5 days in Atlanta for the last month. So I didn't really get to be much of a part of his camp. Oh, shit, you can see my cat running around. So I didn't get to be much like as part of very involved in his camp. So he's got a really good corner instead. Wade Powers, shout out to Wade. He's one of the best coaches in MMA, and he gets overlooked. But yeah, he's going out there, and I don't know why he's an underdog at all. I feel like Cody has way more ways to win than Van does. Van's a very dangerous boxer. But other than that, it's not like Cody can't box. He just like had that fight a second ago where he boxed is another dangerous boxer. Like, this is nothing new. I don't know. But yeah, if you're looking to make some money, I'd say put the money on the underdog, Cody Durden. Be nice for him to pick up another, extend the win streak, and start calling some people out.
Thank you for that, gentlemen. We're going to move to one of our last major topics before we get to the fight, which is a pretty simple one here. It's Marcelo. Guess what, guys? They gave him a match, and it's not one that we should hate. In fact, I kind of like this match, especially when you consider the other alternates that could have been. It does look like Marcelo has a game opponent, and for this one, I'm going to ask you, Kevin, do you know who his opponent is?
Yeah, it's Imanari. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I really like that matchup. We were really concerned that they were going to feed one of the greatest of all time to somebody, a la Tyson and Jake Paul, and I really liked that they didn't. They grabbed two guys who are legends in the sport, and we're going to get to see how some very different styles match up against each other in some old guy jiu-jitsu. To perfectly respectful old guy jiu-jitsu, see him get out there. I'm really pumped for that. Imanari's terrifying. Marcelo Garcia is one of the greatest of all time. It's fantastic.
Did you just call that respectable old guy jiu-jitsu?
Respectfully,
Yeah,
I wanted to be clear to old guy jiu-jitsu normally sounds like I'm mocking them.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's like they're just two old greats that are gonna go at it. It reminds me of Tyson versus
Jones.
Roy Jones.
Yeah.
That exhibition where we got to see a clash of styles that would have been incredible to see in their primes, but it just never really worked out. And you still got to see how those styles run up against each other, with the exception of Snoop Dogg hollering from the commentary booth. If you turned off the audio, it was a phenomenal exhibition of two really skilled guys, and I think we're going to see a lot of that here.
Thank you for that. Tim, do you have any response to Marcelo the GOAT returning and this matchup? Do you have any way that you particularly see it going down?
Yeah, Marcelo hasn't competed since 2011, which is a long time in the grappling game. And he dealt with cancer. He had twins. He's had a lot of things in his life that have taken a higher priority than being a competitor. We know that Marcelo, man, if the right flavor of Marcelo shows up, he's unbeatable. He's one of the greatest, especially Nogi. I think that this fight's going to be much more competitive and probably more entertaining because of that than, say, Tyson and Roy Jones. And here's why. When Tyson and Jones fought, which I love that fight, that was a great fight, they were both well past their fighting days. I know Roy Jones has fought for a long time. I feel like Marcelo and Imanari they could still wreck most of the guys in the room. And the nice thing about grappling is that we don't have to worry about them pulling punches. There's not going to be any kind of consideration Tyson couldn't actually hit Roy Jones in the face. They had a little gentleman's agreement. We're not going to see anything like that. These guys are going to get after it. I heard word is that Marcelo's wrecking people in the gym, and we hear that a lot, but that's easy for me to believe because you could go to MarceloGarciaJujitsu.com and you could subscribe and you could watch him wrecking people. There's a who's who of athletes that have been in that gym, and you see Marcelo make guys just look like they're new to jiu-jitsu, and that's no cap on them. But man, Marcelo's great, so I'm stoked to see it. I think it's a great fight for Marcelo, and I hope that he continues to do this. I know they're calling it the legends matchup, which is pretty cool, but Marcelo's the guy we need in jiu-jitsu. And I don't think he wants to be that guy. I think he wants to be just a regular, quiet dude. He's the guy we need. I know we're pushing Mikey and I know we're pushing Gordon, but Marcelo's the one. He's the one that we need right now. So I'm stoked to see him back.
I mean, Marcelo is a much easier person to get behind. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
it's an inspiring story. And even without the cancer, he was somebody who encapsulated an entire generation worth of people wanting to get involved in jiu-jitsu. And it's why it's so funny to watch Gordon dance around the Marcelo did this, I did this conversation, because he grew up with that too. It's just when you become your own advocate and you're trying to put yourself over the other legends, you're like, well, them, but also me, but more me. And you go, nah, dude, you grew up in a similar era of us all respecting this guy. So for him to come back, everybody wants eyeballs on this, and it doesn't feel as disadvantageous as a Paul and a Mike Tyson. They found a good matchup here. I think we can rally behind this one, so I would like to support this one if possible. So we shall see how it plays up in the near future. Gentlemen, we are now getting to the point where we watch a fight. Tim, I'm going to ask you before I put this up here, what do I need to know about this fight, sir?
Well, this is not a long one, but it's a good one. There's a real nice ending that I really enjoyed. And if you watch this and you were just going to size these guys up by sight, like, okay, do I want to fight this guy or that guy? You would probably pick a shirtless dude and you'd be like, I don't want to fight that dude. He looks rough. He looks dangerous. He looks weird. The guy with glasses looks like he just takes Adderall basically. But he puts up a real good fight. It's a nice little street fight, short and concise, good punches, good kicks, good footwork. So I really enjoyed it. It's short enough you could watch it several times. So,
we might.
Oh, we will.
Let's see what happens here. Tim, you take first stab at walking us through this action, sir.
So they square up, Marcus of Queensberry style rules, and you can see tall guy. He's measuring distance. He starts getting some head movement in. Dodges off that kick, and then he starts throwing hands and a nice spinning back kick against the car. Right here, shirtless guy's like, I don't want anymore. And here's my favorite part. I'm not going to kick you. Fuck it. I am going to kick you. And then he takes the walk around the car, a full lap. He does a full lap. And then he posts up on the lamppost. He's like, damn, he kicked me hard.
So hold on. We're going to come back to this in a second. Kevin, you get the next stab at it. But I would like to point out, this is a special kind of fight because, as you mentioned, the profiling is one thing. You kind of get a sense what's going to happen after the first or second hit. But the payoff is exquisite on this one. Like, in terms of just how someone can get hit, up on the topper tier of this. Kevin, would you like to take your stab at it now, sir?
Yeah, I love this man's style. Let me take a stab at this. This little blend of, finesse and absolute spaz. I love it. Straight. Oh man, he does have that old school pugilist style, elbows out. He's ready to bang. Our shirtless guy. Oh man, here comes the flurry. Straight shots. Man, this is Wonderboy Thompson. This is Wonderboy Thompson for sure.
Yeah, it is.
God, the flurries, the wall work. He squares his feet up. I love that he loses track of him for a second, and you're right. He lines up and he goes, nah, we're good. The shirtless guy is calling for a referee that doesn't exist. He throws his hands up like he's playing paintball to say, I'm out. Stop shooting. And he just gives him one for the road. Oh, I love it.
It's miraculous. Let me just do my little interpretation here as we go. Okay, before we start, all right, the stance should be clue number one, right? Anytime somebody is lunged on one knee forward with both hands up like they're Bobby Hill from King of the Hill, and they're not screaming, "You don't know me, that's not my purse," that sort of stuff. That's kind of the stuff that maybe should give you some pause. But speaking of giving you some pause, tall, slender man here, who actually looks like the writing partner, Stephen Merchant of one Ricky Gervais, if you guys know him. So that dude is pretty calm and collected here. Shirtless dude is maybe now figuring in, my reach isn't going to do much for me here. Stephen Merchant's coming in, and guess what? He is loading up that leg, which should give you your first indication. Can I just tell you guys this? I'll return back to this footage. But if you ever have somebody kick you in a fight, take a moment to figure out your life. Most people are not going to kick you in a street fight. And if they do, perhaps they might know what they're doing. So
if you ever get in a street fight and that guy starts lining up and doing the bounce, this guy didn't do it. but I've seen videos where the dude starts doing the little Thai bounce
Yep.
or the karate bounce, whatever you want to call it. That dude either has no fucking clue what he's doing or every idea what he's doing. And you got to ask yourself whether you're ready to gamble, son.
You ready to? Yeah.
Because when I saw him load up here, and I go, oh, okay, well, at the very least, he knows where to shift the leg. He doesn't connect with this full force here, but you get the sense he's been working on his kicks, and really, this is his opportunity. Like, this is the right time and opportunity meetup. So now when he's switching stances, and all of a sudden you've got Jean-Claude Van Damme showing up here. Dude, nobody invited you to the cookout today, but yet, whoop, wham.
Boom.
Okay. And even
I'm showing this clip to everybody at the bar.
I want to point this out to you guys. So when he doesn't even get the worst of it here. He just kind of gets brushed back. The posture he has on this is the recognition of, I fucked up. Like that body language here is like, oh no, this is going to go way worse before it gets any better. And these are not wonderfully great shots, but they get the job done. This is the ow, I don't want to. But this is the stuff of spiked dreams, my friend.
This is a great picture.
What is with the human instinct to turn your back while you're getting fucked up?
I don't know.
What is with that?
It's just
He looks
we
like
all do it. It's such a bad idea.
This looks like a
He's like,
a
oh, I'm
poor
getting fucked up.
poster for Kick a Nazi video game.
I guess the weird part of this to me is you got one dude who looks like Tim described, and the dude who's gonna cause the pain here, looking like he's about to do a power walk competition. But oh no, he's not power walking. He's leaving a parting gift, which reverberates. Now, this is where I would tell you guys, if you are deciding to go the not wearing shirt option, this is where when they hit you and they do kick you, the rolls of the fat are very unfortunate. So this is where maybe you don't want to take off the shirt. Just in case you're thinking about it, just know that if you lose the fight and you're not wearing a shirt, you don't always end up the best here. But this dude, the lap around, this is perhaps
I need a whole car between me and that guy.
The
He tried to walk it off.
Music in a Spielberg film would be played that would let you know it's a very sad scene. And I think the posture here is the one that does me in. Because the posture at the end, the post up, is the like, you guys heard any good stories lately? You guys got any good jokes?
I'm waiting for the bus.
So anyway. All right, gentlemen, I think that will conclude today's events. I do have one event or one little comment here that I did want to get everybody's response to before we start to sign off. Wallow did ask a little bit earlier, thoughts on the UFC grappling exclusive contracts. I'll open it up just really quickly to see if either of you have a major take on it, but I'll start with you, Kevin. Do you have any thoughts on an exclusive contract from the UFC?
Anytime exclusive is in a contract, it gets really uncomfortable for me because you're giving away all your negotiating bargaining power. You're giving away your ability to ply your wares on the free market. And in fighting, we know that like if fighting's a rough business, every promotion, every promoter you're ever going to deal with, you come second to their bottom line. That's the reality. It's a business. And I think signing an exclusive UFC contract is going to be like, I wouldn't turn it down. I don't see many jiu-jitsu guys turning it down. I think it's going to be bad for the sport, to be real. I think cross promotions is one of the healthiest things we have going on right now. Is like if a promotion starts doing poorly, you just walk. You're just like, oh, I don't actually like doing business with. They're not a promotion, but the IBJJF, right? Because they're assholes and they treat me bad, so I'm not going back. Gordon's walking from ADCC for whatever fucking reason. What Craig did with CJI, I think signing that exclusive contract gives away your negotiating power in a way that I don't love. That said, I also understand when people sign them because I too exist in a world where we have bills to pay. And if the UFC is willing to pay you a significant chunk of change compared to the non-significant chunk of change you make elsewhere, unless you're looking at CJI as a real possibility, you're going to make $1 million. Unless there's a CJI clause in that contract, I think most people are going to say yes. I think it's bad for us, but fighters always do shit that's bad for us.
Tim, your thoughts?
I think it's yes, man. I think, and I agree. I understand what you're saying about negotiation power, but at the same time, most of these guys are freaking broke. They don't have steady income. They make terrible decisions with their money and with their life. And if someone throws a contract in front of them and says, we'll give you 3 fights for this much money, for most of these guys, it's probably a great idea. And if they're good enough that they feel like, man, I really want to go put my wares on the free market and see what's up, then I would say they're winning. That's a good problem to have for many of these dudes. I don't know how it impacts the sport overall. And it's been a sticking point since Metamoris and Halleck Gracie and all that stuff. But from an organization standpoint, it makes sense that they want to lock these guys in. They don't want them showing up somewhere else. They want them to be able to fight when they want them to fight. So I get that. I think for now, it's kind of cool that someone's even offering a contract for these dudes to fight. A bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush most of the time for these guys. I brought the bush back, guys, most of the time for these guys. So I'm for it. I say do it. Put your name on that contract and fucking make some money.
Here's my response. What's on the contract? Maybe it's not bad. Maybe the money is better than you're going to find at other places. But it did give me a little bit of pause for Craig to say anybody who's doing 2 to show, 5 to sub did give me a little bit of, that's not the contract, right? Like, you're just joking. Yeah. That's just a theoretical.
Yeah.
But if you're not Mikey, that could be the contract. So I guess
could be.
It is a big question mark that we will find. But the weird part about it is, and this gets to the crux of the question, I don't think we're going to know what people are making. I think people are going to be very afraid. They're going to be very tight-lipped because that has been the way it has worked in the UFC. And when those figures start coming out, you'll get people who ultimately defend it and people who are like, yo, I don't make any money. And you'll start trying to do a little bit of the math on the inside. I would say this. I think by and large, as a professional sport, it is good when you can see professionals make some money. But we already saw how many events that UFC Fight Pass is going to have. Are you going to be on all 6 of those events in 2025? Do you make money once or twice? Do you appear on the reality show? How much do you get paid to appear on the reality show? If you don't get picked up, are you still bound to that contract? How long is that exit clause? Those are the things that I would want to know. Because if you were in a grappling contract and it said you had a non-compete clause for 6 months or 90 days or whatever it might be to a grappler, that's 1/4 of your year. And that's 1/4 of your year. We're assuming you're healthy. Imagine what happens if something unforeseen happens and you're unhealthy and you can't take a match after those 90 days. Maybe you're only competing once or twice that year. And that is your biggest way of making money. So I think read the contracts. Have a lawyer friend with you at this point. If you're a jiu-jitsu gym and you're a lawyer, this is your time to do some pro bono work because, good Lord, we need some help in this sport. So I'm just saying, you make enough money, help these dumb grapplers, make some sort of deal. Make a deal with the grapplers and that they'll up your heel hook game or something to that effect, and you'll help them read contracts that you know they can't read. And don't assume they can, because they probably cannot. Nonetheless, gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for us here today. I'd love to give you the opportunities to brand your stuff. Kevin, where can the people find you, sir?
Yeah, at Kevin Grapples on Instagram or American Top Team Lima if you want to come and train and hang out and spar and do all that fun stuff, or Superfly in Atlanta.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that. Tim, where can the people find you, sir?
The people can find me on all the social media platforms, Inside BJJ, also InsideBJJ.com. If you're in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. And if you're out in the 209, stop by my other school, 10th Planet Stockton. It's great to be back, fellas. Great show. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.
Likewise, I thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to close this up. I will talk to you guys in a bit, but thanks you guys so much for watching. It has been a great day for grappling. I appreciate you guys. We will see you back very soon. Do me a solid, like, comment, and subscribe if you have not done that already. What are you waiting for? We're at the end of the show. I told you we're going to have a better day. You do, because you watched it. I know that now. And check out for new interviews coming up from the Grappling Hour. And go check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/grappling hour. $5 a month. That's it. Give me some more people. Then for $10, you can see extra bonus content not available anywhere else. But for right now, guys, on behalf of all of us here at the Bullpen, my name is RAF ESPARZA. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.